Hi, Karen with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I have my first ever project for Scrap the Boys and I am super excited. This month's challenge is actually a collaboration with Confessions of a Paper Addict cut store, and I have gone ahead and cut out their cut file called Filigree Heart. Now, initially, I'll talk a little bit about what I did and then explain a little bit about the challenge for this month as well. So, to kick off, I cut the cut file out on a piece of white cardstock and toyed with the idea of popping the pieces from the inside back in or doing some mixed media around. And then I remembered that I had some Be Arty paper, which I can't remember the name of, but I will put that in the description below, just if you're interested. This is basically pre-made mixed media sheets of pattern paper. It is so beautiful. So then I decided to run the cut file through onto that cardstock. And then I'm going to place a heap of mixed media on the bottom using my Shimmers sprays. So the colours that I have there, that first one is Jenny B Blue, which is a gorgeous blue. I did put gesso on this page and it's on smooth white cardstock as well, and heaps of water on the page. So I started with the Jenny B Blue and then I added Snowway Man just to give it a little bit more of a different colour. I love when you put heaps of water and all the sprays together and they come up looking so beautiful together in a brand new colour basically. And I also used Well Blew Me Down. That is actually one of my favourite Shimmers paint sets colourings. And I also pulled out the Shimmers, which is a Shimmers paint, Tickle Me Turquoise, which is actually, it's not really a turquoise colour, it's blue, as you can see there, because I just wanted to bring in a little bit more of that blue to match in with the patterned paper as well. So you'll see there, I've done the swirl type technique. I have literally just sprayed the inks down, put some water on and let it run all over the page. I flipped and I moved the page. It's made such a beautiful colour. I got a little bit mesmerised while I was doing that. I love it. So I continued to add colour. It took a couple of coats, I will admit. I do find the Shimmers paints, it does normally take an extra few sprays, I guess, particularly when you use a lot of water. But that doesn't bother me in the slightest. Because I use so much water as well, it did get my page, even though this is heavy duty cardstock, it did get a little bit warped particularly at the bottom. But that in the end didn't actually matter. It pooled a little bit at the bottom, and you'll see that's when you see the cut file come over once it's dry. But in actual fact, what it did was then give a little bit of depth underneath that cut file. So I ended up actually being really happy with how it turned out. So that was just adding in a little bit of Rip Van Periwinkle as well, just to get that little darker spot. And so hopefully you could see there some of that shimmer that comes out with those Shimmers paints as well. I love them. I can't get enough of them actually. I've done quite a number of orders in the last few months to get lots of different colours. So what my initial thought was to do for this layout was to then put some of the pieces onto some foam and pop them back into their home on the cut file. I did leave this bit in, but in the end of the day, I don't actually do it. Partly it's because I wasn't very good at actually cutting down the foam very well, and I could still see it in certain light, so it bothered me. But I do give it a go, a good red hot go, trying to put that through there. And then I decided that the colours were just a little bit too dark anyway, so they didn't really pop like I thought they were going to do. So I played around with that for a little bit, and then I did give up. So I actually ended up using some of the pieces as sort of swirls around the photo, which you'll see in a moment. So this month's Scrap the Boys challenge, firstly, let me just say how excited I am to join that design team. I have been following Scrap the Boys for so many years now and often participated in their monthly challenges, and I've always had such a fun time creating layouts for those monthly challenges. When Rachel contacted me and asked me to join, I literally sent an email back saying, "Are you serious? Is this for real? Oh my gosh, yes, thank you so much." So hopefully she got a giggle out of that. So this month, like I said before, is a collaboration with Confessions of a Paper Addict cut file store, and also has a mood board, which was at the start of my video as well today. So the mood board that I worked here was lots of swirls of colour, so I really thought that this cut file was perfect as a representation of that. So I went with that, obviously the filigree heart there. And for anyone that wants to participate in the challenge, and I really encourage you to do so, you don't need to have or use a cut file. If you don't have a cut file, you can use a die cut, a manual die cut machine, or some punches. It's really about getting out, even maybe some, I guess getting out punches for some people is getting out some old stash as well. So which is a little bit of fun. So what I'm doing here as well is part of the Be Arty pack that I had for these papers had some cutout sheets. And so I've cut out these circles and things like that. And I've started thinking about where I'm going to put some of those flourishes that were from the inside of the cut file. What I also decided to do was, you'll see here, ink up the outside of all those just to allow them to pop off the page a little and to give a little bit of dimension. So my photo there is of my nephew. I scrap him all the time. I have backed that with a patterned paper from the Be Arty collection as well. It's just in a black patterned paper, which just to give it a little bit of depth. I have placed it on foam as well, fun foam that I get from Spotlight here in Australia in the kids section. Kids, I guess craft section, I guess it is. My local Spotlight store doesn't keep a lot of scrap stuff anymore, so I get it when I can, really. So I've got a little story to tell about the photo as well. This photo is several years old now. It was taken by a Brisbane photographer, Leanne Stamatolis, and I organised a photo shoot with my two nephews and my son and myself as a surprise present for Christmas for the family. And at that time, my nephews were young enough that I could still get them to scrap with me, particularly Oscar. He loved coming over and we would scrap for a few hours, and he made some amazing layouts, actually, I have to say. He's a bit of an artist even now, and has continued with art, being quite arty over the years, but I have to say the scrapping has stopped. He's a bit too cool for that. So it was a really big surprise on Christmas Day. I'd had them coming over for months, every other weekend, designing and helping them put albums together for their mum and dad. And how we kept it a big secret was they would have a layout to show them, to say, "Oh, look what we did while we were here." And then we would hide everything else that we'd done. It was so much fun, I have to say. The looks on everyone's faces when they opened those presents was just priceless. Okay, so back to the layout. So I grabbed the circles and decided I just wanted that little bit of contrast, I guess, against the heart. And I also decided to pull out from my stash one of the stars that I have from Charms Creation, which is a Australian handmade store that we have here. I love them. I have a huge stash of them, although I am starting to run low on stars, so I do need to do something about that. One of the cutout pieces of paper in the Be Arty stack had these cutout phrases. So look at the stars, how they shine for you. I know that the layout was a heart, but I loved the idea of including the star, and I thought that saying was absolutely perfect for Oscar as well. So I decided to cut that up and stick it down. I did place some ink around those pieces as well, just some black ink, just to make sure they were given some definition. And I pulled out my stash of cotton and placed some cotton underneath the star, and also in a blue colour, and it'll come up in a minute, and also over onto the left hand side underneath that title as well. So you'll see there I still ended up leaving the foam on the pieces that I was going to put back into the original cut file as well, just to give some more dimension and pop that off the page. I really like how that ended up looking with the ink on around the edges as well. So I will make sure that I put in my box below all the links to the blog. I would love it if you visited the Scrap the Boys blog and checked out all the amazing inspiration from the design team. It's why I was flabbergasted I made it onto the design team. The designers on this team are just some of the most greatest in Australia, and some from overseas as well. We've got a fantastic team this term, and a really fun group of ladies as well. So it's been really fun getting to know them as well. So here is me putting that cotton through, a bit of a turquoise colour on that left-hand side, and I go for a blue colour under the star, just for a little bit of contrast as well. I also come in with some black as well, seeing I'd put that black underneath the photo and was then also inking around the edges. I wanted to just add a little bit more out of a little bit of tone of black as well. So I pop that, I try a couple of spots, and then I leave it there at the top there, just surrounding that top left-hand corner and top of that circle. So then I was wondering how on earth, what else I needed to do for this layout. And then I do pull out some letters and some random other embellishments. I don't really embellish much more than this. I was going to put some word phrases there, and I couldn't find anything that I really liked. And I really liked that title, so I was really happy with that. So I didn't feel like it needed anything. I have scrapped this photo before as well, so I didn't feel I needed to be too overly dramatic, I guess, with everything that I put onto this page. So I then just had a subtitle calling it Oscar. I know, pretty boring, but it works for me. I also did pull out from the Paper Addict kit. They had some Star Brads, which you'll see me poking through here. Oh, there they are. They're already there. I just randomly put a few of those around the page, just in a triangle there. On the left, there's one on the right, and there's one just below the star as well. I also do put some enamel dots around the page just to give it a little bit more oomph. And I also ink the edges of the entire layout as well. So I just go around with a blending tool, as you can see there, and just put a little bit of black ink around the edges just to give it that, as always, give it a little bit of depth. I know that a lot of people don't do that, but I still love putting ink on the side of my pages to give you a bit of a border. So we're almost up to the end. I have got the completed page coming up in a moment, and I've got a few close-ups for you as well. Again, as always, I really appreciate you popping in and commenting and liking my videos. And to all my subscribers, thank you so much. I've already hit just over 200. I was so excited the other day when I saw that. So I really do appreciate you popping by and spending a few minutes just to see what I'm up to. And I look forward to sharing over the next few months with Scrap the Boys as well. Please make sure you like and subscribe and pop over to the blog as well. Again, I can't help myself, but thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Bye.